Okay, that was a little bit over the top, right? And it's a little bit crazy. It was a bit too much, maybe, also. When I was about 19 years old, more or less, I went to a voice lesson with a friend of mine. And in the middle of the lesson, we got stuck, a little bit like Kirsty says, you start to... And that teacher told us something that really stayed with me since then. That's amazing how you do something so silly for 20 seconds. She told us that in order to know what's enough, you need to know what is too much. And I love that. And it stayed with me since then. And because it just gave me permission to fuck up. It gave me permission to try to expand my limits, to try things without feeling that I will be judged, without feeling that I can fail. And I took it with me as I continued, with the idea of, instead of just being a rock drummer, I knew that I'm going to be a drummer. When I was 4, I knew it. But then, instead of just being like rock and roll and stuff, I thought, how can I expand myself? How can I try things? And the more I tried, the more like, oh, I can do this and then it became weirder and weirder. And I allowed myself to be like this, to fucking scream in the middle of the room. Why not? And that somehow allowed me to be more of myself, not trying to fit in. You know, there is a good quote from Dr. Seuss. I don't know if you know it. Why the hell do you try to fit in if you were born to stand out? It's a great quote. So the more I did it, somehow it worked, and I'm very lucky that people liked it and took me on board. And I don't know if anybody here is into contemporary dance, but I've been performing with people like Hofesh Shechter and Akram Khan, and it's amazing. Touring all over the world, going all, you know, Sydney Opera House, Barbican, Sadler's Wells, Brighton Dome. It's been amazing. And because I came with this attitude, I always stretched their capacity. I remember one rehearsal with Akram, the first rehearsal almost we had, we did something in the room and everything started, and I felt like, wow, I love screaming, as you noticed. I felt like, wow, this is cool. And he was sitting right next to me, and I started to scream, and I remember Akram kind of looking at me like, what the F is he doing? But actually the show that we're doing now starts with screaming. Come to the Roundhouse in January and you'll see. So I saw that it works. If you allow yourself to go bonkers, you allow yourself to just go to the too much, it works. And I always want to invite people, come, let's do too much, see what happens. But people don't go there. Because we all like to live in the comfort zone. We think that it's safe. There is this false idea that the comfort zone is safe. That if I have the money, and if I have the job, and if I keep that relationship that I'm really not sure about, it will be all right. But another good quote by Steve Chandler, who is a business coach, he said that the comfort zone is a place to rest, not a place to live. So I like to invite people to live and come to the place of too much, but again, it's too scary. It's scary because, you know, we can be people can judge us, people can say things about us, and it can be even dangerous. You can lose your job, or you can lose the relationship if you go too much. You know, you won't do what I just did in your workplace. Don't think it will be very acceptable. So because there are no places for us somehow, in this matrix that we live in, there are no places where people can explore too much, I kind of decided that this is what I want to do. I want to create spaces where people can come with me and let's discover what's your too much. A place where you cannot go wrong. No matter what you do, you want to do, you can do, or if you want to be very, it depends. You know, my tendency, I'm crazy, but you know, some people, their too much can be completely different, and that's the beauty of it. And for people, in order to allow yourself to go to this place of too much, first of all, you need to trust. You need to create a very, very safe space for people to do that. But also you need to know why you're doing it. Anybody knows Simon Sinek here? So Simon Sinek has this thing that he's very well known for, which is always start with the why. Whatever you do, you have to know your why very, very clearly. Because if you don't know your why, when shit happens, and it happens, when people will judge you, and they will, when you have troubles with what you do, and you will, if you don't have your why, this is why I'm doing it very clear, you will collapse and you will stop. But if your why is very clear, no matter how much shit you're going to get on the way, you will be able to somehow stand up and keep going. And I'm saying this from experience. I knew from the age of 4 I wanted to be a drummer. And I don't know, but just as an idea, if you didn't get that, it's not the safest idea to go in life. It's not the most financial secure thing and blah, blah, blah. And I constantly found myself in the most ridiculous situations. I remember this kind of what the fuck moments. One of them is when I went to Berklee. I remember that moment on the escalator saying bye-bye to my family and to my parents, and I'm like the United States, I did like the first time I'm going to study, and I was like the most horrific student in school. The school system didn't work with me. Failure, failure, failure. So to go to, it's the best college of music. To go there like, ah. And then another moment was when I decided, because I had a friend, and we had a dream to create a show with drums and music and stuff, and he moved to Spain, so when I finished Berklee, I had to decide, what am I doing with my life? And I thought, I'll move to Spain, and we're going to create this show. And I'm moving to Spain, I have no job, I have no visa, I don't know a word in Spanish, all I have is a dream to make show of drums and music and blah, blah, blah. And I'm finding myself in Spain, not knowing anybody. And about a month and a half after I moved there, he suddenly got a gig, so he left as well. But my why was very clear. I knew I want to create show. I want to be on stages. I love this. And a few years ago, my why changed. Because I felt like, oh, you know what? It's not. I love the performances. It's really, really nice. But there was something, you know, probably because I became father. They're fine kids, don't worry. I'm not like this all the time. Something changed in me, and I started to think like, wow, the why of going and performing, I like it, that's fun, but it's more for me. I guess you get old, and suddenly like, it's like the giving that you spoke about. Like I felt like, oh, I want something more that I need to change. Midlife crisis. And I started to think, what in my career I really, really love? What do I cherish? What do I want to take? What is my new why? And it wasn't actually the big performances. What it was those little moments with a student or with audience like you, those moments where you feel that you touch someone's heart and somebody suddenly like discover themselves. And that makes me cry. Even now, like ooh. And I know this is why the why is very boom. That's that. So my why is very clear to me. This is what I do right now. I work with people one-on-one. I work in groups. I'm starting to work with companies now because I feel that there's a need for that. We need to just a little bit, like, we're all going to talk about the same shit here, different versions. But just fucking be yourself. Just be yourself. So, what is your why? What is your why is a good question. The next question is, there's the why, the what, and the how. Next thing is what. What do you want to do? That's easy. If working with a company, it's usually clear what you do. You have great. People also, a lot of people have it clear. A lot of people say, no, I have no idea what I want to do. That's bullshit. A lot of times it's because of fear. Because for so many years you kind of like, I won't say it because it's too scary. Or maybe you don't know. But usually it takes about a session or two and we can discover very clearly what it is. So the what is not really a problem. Then we come to the how. And I love the how. The how is the most fun one. Let's do something with drums if I find the stand again. It's here. Amazing. 10 minutes. We're good. Fuck this.
Before it throws it, just take that out of the way.
Smart move. Very well known to break a lot of things on stage when I'm on stage. Everybody knows that. So, I'm going to play something for you. We're talking about the how. Feel free to join me if you want to clap. So, I'm going to make something nice for you. You don't have to, yeah? I'm not one of those. Come on! Everybody's cool. Yeah, you're smiling. It means something has happened here. This is my how. Great. I choose to live my life not like that. I prefer to take my how and always take it to too much. And let's see what happens when I do it too much. And this time I'm going to take you with me and we're going on a journey. Ah! It's a journey again. So, we're going to do it like this. I'm going to mark you something very clear. When I mark you this, all I'm asking you is to make a sound according to what you feel right now. If you're happy, be woohoo, whatever you feel like, whatever comes out. If you're still angry at me for this crazy shit I did in the beginning, say if you're bored, say there is no right and wrong. So any sound that you feel like, just do a sound, make a sound. You'll have a clear sign. This starts to make me nervous. The breath. No, it's all right, leave it, it's fine. It's good to be nervous.
Such a people pleaser.
Yeah, so be ready. I'm going to mark you. All you need to do is the sound. So, everybody's kind of stressed now. Microphone because of the camera.
Yes.
It's not going to work with me, but never mind. So you made a sound. Be honest with yourself. You don't need to share your number. But what you just did is how you do life.
Oh.
So, if you gave everything in your life, you went to the too much and you really made the sound with full commitment, give yourself a 10. If you were like a dead flat pancake, it's 1. You know your number, we won't be judging here. Let's try it again and see if you were flat pancake, see if you can push it to 2. If you were 9, make it 10. If you were 10, just go, you don't need to stop. So, we'll try it again. Extreme. I assume that some of you are not like, oh, I fucking hate this shit. Fine, that's alright. But some of you feel that, oh man, it's quite nice to go a little bit bonkers sometimes. So, that's the advantage of having an iPod. I have no idea what's the next thing in my talk, but let me find it. I'll find it. Yeah, how do we do life? How do we do relationship? How do we do sex? How do we treat our employees? How do we talk to our lover? We can always push the numbers up. You know, I'm going crazy here, but in the end, you know, I'm a serious guy. And I hope that you can take something from this of always think about anything that you do, how do you do it? How are you sitting right now? Don't worry, everybody's like suddenly straightening themselves up. No, but seriously, do you sit in the talk like this? I don't give a fuck about what you're telling me, or are you engaged? I'm not judging you, totally. It's coming from a very loving place. Me also, like, how do I come? Am I too much? Am I sensitive? Always filter yourself, like, see how you can come more. Because you will have better relationships. This was completely not in my talk, what I'm doing right now. You will have better relationships, you will be able to engage with your people at work much better. Life will be just better. So think about how you do life, because it's really important. I'm going to give you a little tool before I go. This is the tool that I use with my clients, this is the tool that I use in workshops, and I call it the crop tool, with the idea that we all have life and we have a lot of shit going on. And it's all exciting. We spoke about it before, Jack, about how there is a lot of stuff. The idea is to crop it. You know, there is a lot of stuff, but what do you actually want? And we just do it like, we're going to focus on that. And the word crop comes from 4 letters, which are the process that we work on. And I'm just giving it to you because it might help. If it doesn't matter, we all die in the end anyway. So, the first letter is C. I'm sorry, you know, I know it was much easier with how I'm cooking, moving all the time. I can't stay still. Yeah, okay, cool. The first letter is C, and it's cleansing and clearing. It's the first step we have to do with any process that we do. There are things in your life and people in your life that are holding you back. You can make the choice to be nice and hold and keep these things, or you can be, it's not the time, fine. But if you want to start a process, we have to start cleansing this stuff and clearing these things. It can be too much alcohol, it can be watching the phone too late, it can be for men mainly watching too much porn. It can be reading news too much. Being the ones that take these newspapers that they give us the first thing we go on a train. Why should you consume this first thing in the morning? There are other things you can consume which would be better for you. And there are people that, you know, if you want to say that you want to be a drummer, will tell you like, oh, it's not safe, you should get a serious job, and blah, blah, blah. You have to clear and cleanse these kind of things in your life in order to go to the next stop, which is the R of the crop, which is the reconnect with your inner voice. Because once you start cleansing and clearing all the stuff that is holding you back, you suddenly will hear like, I like that. Oh, I really fucking hate that. And you start to understand more and more like, oh, I'm starting to hear myself. Because for so many years we're being told not to think, not to be honest, not to behave in a certain way. And once you start clearing all those things that make you be like that, you start to find yourself. That's very beautiful. Once you do that, you do the cleansing and clearing, and then you do the reconnecting with your inner voice, comes the O, which is observation. At that point you start to observe. Things are very interesting here. My behavior and behaviors of others in this whole society, this whole matrix that we live in. And it's kind of like, ooh. It's coming from a much wiser place. And once we do all that, we come to the P. So we do the cleansing and clearing. We find our inner voice. Start to observe what's going on. And then it's the fun bit. Then it's the P and it's the play. Then you start to live life as a play. And not as something that is so fucking serious. It is serious. Shit happens, you know. But facing life and all the challenges from a place of honesty and truth, no matter how difficult it is, it's much easier than waking up in the morning with this feeling I'm lying to myself and I'm doing everything that I can to tell myself that I'm not. I've been there. I almost got married with this woman that I knew it's not the right person. And I did a lot of other things, and I remember this feeling of waking up in the morning and like, oh, shit. So take the courage. Search for your too much. Find spaces where you can go to this too much, where you can go bonkers. And I want to leave you with one thing to think about. If we talk about the crop, let's go back to the C. A lot of times we come to these places to get more stuff, to get more knowledge. I see you guys writing and doing things. Instead of adding stuff, all I'm asking you to take from this is, from the cleansing and clearing, just drop one thing in your life that is holding you back. One little thing. One little thing. one cup of coffee that you know that it's too much, or whatever, you know what it is. Just drop that, and look, I'm going to do it really nice because of the title of my talk. This is all planned. Do that, and then you see what happens when you stop. Come on.
Wow.
That was powerful.